just on Discord if you're getting this already, just letting people know that I'm on. Ah, there you go. Nice to see you, Shannon. How are you doing? Hello, Peter. How are you? And how's the sound, by the way? I think it should be okay, but good to check. I think the settings are slightly different from last time, but should be fine. And hello, Mango. Hello, Juz. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah, exactly, Shannon. I was just saying at the start, I think before you popped in, that I was just letting the Discorders know that I was finally live. The chat hasn't refreshed. Just a sec. Let's get the chat going. Should work now. And hello to Logan. Nice to see you. There we go. The chat's up. And Stardust Science as well. Hi. You've been commenting recently. Nice to see you in the Red Fox Book Club as well. Very cool. Very cool. Nice to see you. Thanks, Logan. Yeah. But the chat is disappearing, it seems, as well. I don't understand why it so often doesn't save my settings. It's really, really annoying. You would... Oh, but it says always show messages. That's cool. But it's fading, isn't it? I love these little technical issues. It makes me so happy, as you can imagine. But yeah, like a couple of times it's been resetting the settings. Not when I'm closing the streaming software, for some reason it's resetting things every time. Always show messages. Let's try. Let's see if it stays now. But yeah, how is everybody today? Anybody else dropped in yet? I don't think so. Oh, there's Mama Fox popping in as well. Oh, you were, Mango, just mentioning that you're listening to the new Lord of the Rings. Hope you enjoyed it, everybody that's taken a listen. I honestly, I massively enjoyed producing that new chapter. It was really good to be back with the Lord of the Rings after such a long break. I mean, like I've said many times, it is quite an intimidating book to read. It's not easy at all from a narrator's point of view, but once you warm up to it, try not to get too like I said, intimidated, I suppose, by the task at hand. You know, it's long chapters, quite complex English, many different characters. There's the songs as well that take a lot of thought and preparation and everything. And I've always tried to make Lord of the Rings as polished as I can as well. I'd be very thorough with the editing and everything. So I know that whenever I'm starting a new chapter, it's gonna take like I've said many times, it's like 5 hours absolutely minimum, but I don't think I've ever done one that quickly, to be honest. And it can be maybe 10 hours or more, like some of these more complicated ones, like this last one with those two songs. Yeah. And the next chapter, I've been intimidated by this for months. More so than this first one. So, but like I've mentioned here and there, I think the finished chapter will be nearly 2 hours long, and there is so many different characters and some new characters. It's a really cool chapter, and I think if I can just knuckle down and pull it off to the best of my ability, it'll be great, and I'll be really, really, really pleased with it. But it's just very intimidating. I think if it's 2 hours finished, it's probably going to take me, and I know some narrators, they could do it way, way, way quicker, but, I work the way I work, and I'm very happy with the results 99 times out of 100, so, yeah, like, if it's 2 hours finished, it's probably going to be 4 hours at the microphone, and then editing, probably 8 hours or something like that. So it's a mission. It's a mission, and it's not obviously just the time. It's the thought process and the creativity that's going into it as well. So yeah, that's chapter 2 of Lord of the Rings that I'm talking about there for anybody who was just popping in. But I was personally really pleased with chapter 1 of book 2. So if you've listened to it, let me know what you thought. I know there was lots of you there for the premiere last Thursday. Really, really lovely to see you in the chat and kind of share that with you all, like whether you stayed throughout the whole thing or whether you dropped in and out or whatever. It was really, really, really nice. And I think I will do a premiere for the chapter 2 as well, even though it's going to be 2 hours. It's like a film. I think it will be lovely just to share that all together as a Fox family. So if I can get it finished for Thursday again, I will do that. Did I actually have it finished for Wednesday and upload it Patreon Wednesday and the premiere Thursday? I think so. But yeah, I'll do my best. But with it being it's the longest chapter ever of Lord of the Rings. It's the longest chapter of the whole of this book as well. Chapter 3 is kind of more normal again, and then there's a couple of slightly shorter ones and a little mix. But with it being the biggest chapter to date that I've ever done of anything, I'll try not to stress myself and just see when I can get it finished for. But I'll aim for Thursday and just see how it goes. But it's going to have my full commitment this week, rest assured. Let me just go through the chat a second and see how we're doing. Mango's asking, what are we reading? I've got To Marry a Prince up on the screen. I've been promising Teresa and a few of you To Marry a Prince fans a chapter or two of To Marry a Prince for quite some time. So I would like to read at least one chapter of To Marry a Prince tonight. But I wasn't sure whether to warm up with something else or just like have a bit of fun with something else just purely for the fun of it. Like behind me here, I've got Alice in Wonderland, which we've still not finished. I've got the illustrated Pride and Prejudice hardback that I keep talking about. And I've also got my 1984, technically it's the Lady Foxes. I bought it for her as a gift last year. But I've got this 1984 Animal Farm George Orwell duo as well. So I don't know. I just thought it would be nice to play around with something else as well. I know it's all, it's good to finish things that I've already started. But I do like playing around with new things, as you know. And there's other things that I have on the go or saved as PDFs and things on my computer. Like I've got Jurassic Park. I could always read a little bit of Jurassic Park. There's other things I could mention like Grimm's Fairy Tales and Sherlock Holmes. There's there was like a Christmas Story I was thinking of. Maybe I should just save that for another time. I was thinking I could always give like a little preview of the Lord of the Rings chapter 2 and use that as like a little testy warm up for myself as well. So if you've if you've any thoughts, any preferences whatsoever, please let me know in the chat and I can try and tailor it to you a little. So yeah, Brad and Georgie were popping in as well. Very nice to see you. I think you might have popped back out again. But you've said that you've got your sticker. I've not sent off all the stickers yet. It's taken me way longer than I expected to order all those. So even though I've designed, like tailored them to, I don't know, maybe I've done about, I had done all of them, but then there was a few extra kind of slightly late requests coming in as well, and I've not done all of those yet. So there's probably, I don't know, maybe like another 5 or 6 that I need to sort of design. And I've ordered, I think I've like ordered about 10, but there's quite a lot. I've got like a big list of ones to send out. So really fantastic that Brad and Georgie, you've already received yours. And if you're still in the chat, I might have missed you now, but I'd love to know how the quality has come out, like whether it's come out nice and clean or not. Because, you know, I'm not a graphic designer. I've used Lorena's original concepts and everything, and then I've adapted them. And I was a little bit concerned that with the breathe fox, that relax fox, that the image quality would be too low for the sticker, even though it's a small sticker. It seems to be fine from what I can see, like on my previews and everything. And Redbubble allows it to be produced, and as far as I can see, if an image is too small, it won't allow that particular design to be used or whatever. So I'm hoping it looks good. With some designs, like people have requested some of the wizard foxes, like the Harry Potter kind of themed foxes, the Read to You Soon fox, and there's a couple of others. And those I definitely know will be clear enough. The resolution is much higher. But the breathe fox, I was a little bit concerned. So I would love to know anyone that's received one of those yet. And but Brad and Georgie, I think yours is a Read Too Soon fox, actually. I think so. But yeah, when you receive them, I'd love to know how they are. So you know, whether you contact me on Patreon or in a comment or through email or whatever, it would be really, really nice to know how they look. But if you've not received yours yet, please don't worry about that at all. It's on its way. They're going to be shipped out like within the next week, I would imagine. But yeah, it took me much longer than I expected to make those. I'm always a little bit time optimistic, but I'd pictured kind of like, okay, so like so long to message, and maybe there'll be like a follow-up message, and then there'll be the designing process and kind of keeping, you know, I've got like an Excel spreadsheet with like keeping track of stuff. And then I thought, okay, and then it's just uploading it to Redbubble, and then it's just ordering it through there and like paying for each one individually. Maybe it'll be like so much time, and then I think it's been like 3 or 4 times longer than that. So sorry I've not got them all sent out yet, but they will be on their way sooner or later. And like I said, I've already got a few out there, and some should already be arriving, which is very nice. So yeah, for those of you not aware with what I'm talking about, this was a little thank you Patreon gift giveaway that I've been running for $5 patrons and more. So that was that. Brad on with the fried bread as per. And Olivia's dropped in. I don't want to miss you. Hello, Olivia. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Um, just reading the chat. So Shannon says Alice. When you're saying that paragraph wasn't familiar, Mango, are you talking about the one on the screen? This isn't Lord of the Rings. This is Tamaria Prince up here. Thank you very much, Holly. Really, really, really appreciate that. I put my heart and soul into that first chapter of book 2. I really, really gave it everything. So, and it is tricky, like when you've not read something for a while, as in like narrated something for a while. I know I'd done the live version, but there's a little bit less pressure just to like absolutely nail things when I'm reading it live. I was worried, I'd not attempted some of those voices for a long time. And there's nothing like crazy complex, but I was really worried, like, okay, can I get Bilbo just right? Like, will Frodo sound okay? I wasn't so worried about Sam and Gandalf. I've been playing around with a little bit anyway, so I was like, okay, I know what I want to do there. Gloin I was not worried about. I'd had fun with that on the live stream back in September or whatever. And that there was like Elrond was just like popping in briefly, and there's the elves chiming in. I was just really really, really hoping that it would be consistent with what's come before and everything. And Strider obviously like pops in, and there's the songs and everything. But I think it was consistent and smooth and everything. And I personally like really, really, really like that new music that I've chosen and mixed in and everything. So yeah, hope you're enjoying it, those that are keeping up with the Lord of the Rings. Olivia mentions Jurassic Park. It's been so long since I've read some of that, and I was really, really enjoying it. I've never read it live. I've only done the recorded ones. So if I ever was to read it live, I think I would just try and keep it like a little bit simpler. I mean, like with the voicing and things like that, not worry about it too much. But I think that is so fantastically well written. If it wasn't for copyright issues and all these problems that I've had here and there, I would definitely have marched on with Jurassic Park much, much, much more regularly. But with it being a modern book and me being concerned about things, I've obviously it's affected my choices here and there. Peter mentions Agatha Christie. A couple of people mentioned Agatha Christie in the past. I'd be intrigued to start something like that. I've never actually read any Agatha Christie. I've bought an Agatha Christie novel as a gift in the past, but that would be very very unfamiliar, but could be interesting for sure. I hope you like it when it drops, Mango. Just mentioning your sticker there. Logan saying read whatever is most convenient. I think you were also saying that, Shannon, perhaps. But yeah, you wanting some more Cheshire Cat. I can't actually remember exactly how I did that before, so maybe I should have had a listen to that before attempting some Alice. I won't read Alice today because I think I want to refresh myself with that, because you were saying that you really enjoyed the Cheshire Cat before, so it would be nice to try and make it as similar to last time as possible. Mango, yeah, you were thinking of something with Dickon. Yeah, he doesn't really have like a catchphrase or something, does he? Like, he often says like kind of like when he's kind of enamored by something or whatever. But I think Portus was a good choice as well, Mango, and I think it looked really nice. Like when when I'd sketched it out or whatever. Yeah, glad you liked it, Olivia. Yeah, I don't want to disappoint you, Shannon, but and hello to Julia or Yulia. Yeah, I've got to get back into Dracula. I've been saying on the live streams that Dracula and The Lord of the Rings are my main priorities with my regular videos. And that is absolutely the case. So my plan was, now that I've got back into The Lord of the Rings and I know how I kind of feel, I've got this absolutely enormous chapter 2. And then I think I will try and just keep that momentum. It depends how exhausted I am after chapter 2. But I think I will try and keep that momentum and do chapter 3. And then I think I'll do maybe... I don't know, because I want those Lord of the Rings chapters to be regular. But... I have enjoyed like shifting my production method a little bit. Because I was going to say... Then I was going to do 3 or 4 chapters of Dracula, but I want the Lord of the Rings to like keep ticking in, and you know, like back in the day, I used to move between 3, 4, 5 books per like week or 2 weeks at times, especially when I was maybe recording something for Audible at the same time, and I've always enjoyed that like a lot. Like I really like to test myself and try different genres and you know, keep moving between things, keeps it very fresh. But I think to make it a little easier for me to get into kind of like a good flow and get really absorbed by something, maybe it does help to do a few chapters in a row. You know, I've asked about this in polls here and there, asking how you guys like it to be delivered to you. And quite a lot of people said, yeah, we do appreciate it in bigger chunks or like a few chapters back to back. So, you know, I've been doing that recently with, I tried it out originally with Fantastic Mr. Fox, and then I've been doing it with Dracula and the Chronicles of Narnia as well. And I think it works quite well. So, yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like I want to be as regular with Lord of the Rings as possible, but I don't want Dracula to get left behind too badly either. And I'm not sure whether to do, you know, kind of like a Dracula, Lord of the Rings kind of thing either. So, yeah, okay. But one thing at once, I will start the Lord of the Rings Book 2, Chapter 2 tomorrow. Try and finish the recording on Tuesday. There might be a little bit extra to do on Wednesday, who knows? And then just edit Wednesday if I need to, Thursday, and publish it on Patreon and do the YouTube premiere. So that's kind of the plan, and then I'll just take things from there. So. But yeah, were there no more thoughts? Prop up the Teds. I was just going to say, are there any more thoughts on what to read? Hello, Carla. Nice to see you. Yeah, this is Tamaria Prince here. But any other ideas on other things that I could read tonight? Like Peter said Agatha Christie, which would be something completely new. I'd need to go PDF hunting for that as well. Sorry, I was just reading that comment that's popped in from Mango. Just a second. Shannon said Alice in Wonderland, which I did suggest, to be fair, and then I started backing out because I was thinking, I don't want to mess up the Cheshire Cat voice as you really liked how I did it last time. And then I've got 1984 and Animal Farm, and I've got Pride and Prejudice, which people have been mentioning when I've been asking, what would you like me to read? And I mentioned Jurassic Park and a couple of other things. So please, over the next couple of minutes, if there's something that you'd like to hear, I mentioned warming up with some Lord of the Rings Chapter 2 preview as well. If there's something you'd like to hear, please say now. But yes, Tamaria Prince is what is up on the screen. Mango asking about Audible. I technically have a couple of books still in the making for Audible, but I've kind of put them on hold at the moment. I need to get back in touch with the authors there. So technically yes, technically no. I cancelled one quite a while ago. But what are you saying? Your reviews, some of the story, well, but they all gave your. Yeah, like the reviews have have generally been very positive over on Audible, like for Sleepers and for Curse of the Ice Dragon. Um, uh, yeah, I mean you can look at that yourself. Like, I think I'm rated something like 4.6 out of 5 or something like that on Audible in general. So like pretty decent. um, but yeah, I've been saying that this year, because I took it easy with Audible for most of last year. But this year I was thinking of trying to get stuck back in there, or at least looking at more professional, so to speak, projects again this year. But my main priority at the moment is to make some progress with my own little projects. So, like I said, Lord of the Rings and Dracula. I can float back into Narnia once I've finished book 2 of Lord of the Rings, is what I've been saying. And keep up with these live streams. They're lovely, and I get to keep some momentum with these stories too. And then just kind of get stuck back in with some professional things when I feel ready. It takes a lot of time to hunt through all sorts of things and apply for all sorts of things and do auditions and all the rest of it. So, first things first with you guys and with YouTube and the live streams and all those things. And hello to Caitlin, long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Very nice to see you. And Tanny popping in as well, suggesting Pride and Prejudice. Nice to see you in the Foxy Book Club. Welcome. So Shannon suggests a Grimm's fairy tale. That's not a bad shout. Mango also. Peter saying, yeah, Grimm's are short. Okay, interesting. I thought there'd be a little bit more bite for some George Orwell, but I guess that's an epic task, and you often, most of you seem to like a bit of progress and consistency, rather than like dabbling with this and that and this and that. But okay, then I'm just very curious to see what you fancy, because then I was thinking, okay, well, I'll do Tamaria Prince and have a Grimm's fairy tale break, and then do another Tamaria Prince. But there seems to be quite a bit of interest in the old Grimm tales. How about I try the older French Cinderella, because I read one particular translation of Grimm's Cinderella, the Ashputtel. But I said a long time ago I wanted to make a video like where I compared this older version of the same kind of story, which is closer to the Disney Cinderella. I wanted to compare that with the Grimm's one, but as I've read the Grimm's one on a past live stream, I could try the other one. I don't know if that sounds appealing, because it is quite different. It's not like I'm just reading Cinderella again. It is quite different. Which one is it here? I'm just opening up a PDF to see if it's the right thing. Yeah, this is it. Charles Perrault is the author. And I think this was written in the late 1700s. It was quite a bit older than the Grimm's fairy tale. And I was reading somewhere a while ago that this story apparently originated in China and then was kind of brought over and popularized by European authors. So let me just change the source and try and switch this window over to the PDF, the Cinderella PDF. Just give me a sec. One moment, please. There we go. Foxy Butt Club. I just want to make this look a bit nicer. Why won't you go full screen, you pesky thing? Where's the shortcut for that? Oh, it's Control L, obviously. So obvious. Let's see if this looks big enough. It's okay. Could go a little bit bigger. Ooh. Too much. There we go. I think that's okay. Let's have a look. Don't know if... Can you read that? Or is that too small? Tell me. Can you read the writing, or is it too small? Yeah, I know what you're saying, Logan. To be honest, I am super into 1984. Like, I absolutely love that book. I think it's fantastic. And Animal Farm, equally, I think is really, really lovely. Like, I was just sat reading 1984 to myself a few weeks ago, testing it out. So, yeah, I am super into it. I think it's fantastic. And there's a Swedish book that's a little bit older than 1984. I think it was published in something like 1930, called Kallocaine. If you're not familiar with it, Kallocaine is spelled K-A, can't speak, L-L-O-C-A-I-N. And I'd never come across it, and I'd heard from a couple of Swedes that, you know, they'd studied it at school or whatever, and said, honestly, if you like 1984, I think you'll find Kallocaine even better. And I haven't finished it. I think I've read about a third or so, but it is very captivating, and I can totally understand why they would say that. But if you're a 1984 fan, I'm just gonna throw that recommendation out there. Like, if you can get a copy of an English translation, give it a go. And yeah, I've been tempted to read that as like a regular video or on a live stream at some point. But I've thought, like, okay, I've got so many things on the go, and because it's not a famous book, I believe, in America and in the UK, I thought, okay, if I'm gonna read a dystopian novel, that kind of genre, then let's go with something extremely famous and something that I'm familiar with, which would be 1984. So you're saying it's really small. even on your big screen. That's a shame. Let's just try and get it a little bigger. It keeps getting overstretched. Just a second. Sorry. I don't know if there's a better way. Not really. I don't really want to mess around resizing my windows. Oh, it's like, can there not just be a size in between? That's so annoying. Yeah, this is the best I can do. Oh, that's a shame if it's too small for you guys. I know on mobile everything's small. I mean, I've got quite a large mobile screen, like with this Samsung S8. So, like, if you hold it landscape like this, I think it would be readable. I really do. I would hope so, but maybe not. But it's there. Can anybody read that? I'm super curious. Like, is it a bit fuzzy? Is that why? Because I can't really tell on mine. Because the chat box looks really clear, and then that does look maybe slightly pixelated. I don't know why it would be. You would hope it would be just as clear, just smaller. But if you can't read it, never mind. I can still keep it there. It's not a big deal. Oh, I'm glad you think it would be cool, Mango, to try this version. And like I said, this outdates the Brothers Grimm one, so they were probably influenced by this French version, this Charles Perrault version. And like I said, the Disney one is closer to this, so I think you could find it quite interesting. I'll give it a go. I've been wanting to do this for over a year or more, and I've just never got around to it. Carla with the emojis. I'm guessing this was a reaction to the Foxy Book Club. And hello to Windorf dropping into the stream as well. Hope you're doing good. Just giving you a shout out there. Welcome to the stream. Let's see what you guys are saying. Yeah, I'm not surprised you weren't planning on reading with me, but just says a bit fuzzy but legible. That's progress. Can read it on the laptop. And you could type out the whole thing. Look at that. Shannon, okay, so it can't be too bad. Just make sure that you've got the stream in 720p if you can. Because if you've got it in 480 or 360, you definitely won't be able to read it. But if you've got the stream in 720, I think you will be able to. Just. There is not going to be any French accent, Peter. Although it is written by the Frenchman, I think that we will just try and imagine as it is written in English that, you know how you say that it is been spoken by an English person, not by the French. Although I think it could be quite entertaining, quite fun to read it with a French accent, but it's how you English say, you know, it might not be everybody's cup of tea, so we keep it simple and read it in Yorkshire. I'm like, right then, Cinderella and Glass Slipper. Right, love. Once upon a time, there were this woman, right? And she were proper miserable, right, Mardy. Chuffy now, always complaining. And she had these chuffing stepsisters, and they were right horrible. Proper meanies. And mum, always out on council estate, yammering. But there were this right good-looking lad down working men's club playing snooker, right? Banging him in, bottom bag, left, right and centre. And she says, hey up. Nah then, that's a fine piece. I'll have a bit of that. And she says, hey, what they're doing? And chuffing, chuffing fairy godmother, she says, I'm going to make you look well, Bonnie. Let's get this then sorted out in some fine cloth from Primark. Get this then over to chuffing Walkabout down Barnsley. Have a good night out with him, and we'll see what happens. But she says, look, me magic, it only works until midnight, and then they're bollocksed. There'll be an ordinary wench there will be. They have to chuffing head home in taxi, in black cab if you're lucky, about £17. It's going to cost you an arm and a leg. But next Friday night, they can head down to Walkabout or wherever he's hanging out, have a right good time. Leave your chuffing. What's she gonna leave behind? Ugg boots. Leave your glass Ugg boots on dance floor with your backy and your cigarette tab, and he'll be all hot and bothered. Come looking for thee, he will. And we'll see what chuffing happens, right? So, time passes. They have like a little bit of have a bit of a grind, have a good time on dance floor down at Walkabout. Right, have a few pints. No, they had a few pints. It won't buckets. It had a few pints down at Walkabout. Had a good dance, you know. Snogging in corner and all that, up to no good, all mischief. But midnight, like I said, they're bollocksed. Got to head home. And get yourself in cab. And then our old prince, the old amateur snooker lad, he's like, where's that bird? She were well fine. Right fitty she were. Where'd she run off to? She said she were going to bog. And that were it. She just chuffing disappeared, and friends said she hadn't, like, they hadn't seen her. And so he goes round all local villages, doesn't he? Going down pub, and he's like, I were hanging out with this lass the other night. She just disappeared on me, didn't she? Didn't know what had happened. Rung police, they weren't interested. Nearly had to chuffing leave her missing persons, like, you know, but they won't bother. So he goes round looking for someone who would, because he's got this Ugg boot, right? And he's got his glass Ugg boot left behind. That's it. And backy, and he's like, right, anybody who know whose Ugg boot's this? Anybody who knows who belongs to this? And I'm like, it's a chuffing size 6 Ugg boot, innit? It could be anybody's. But them cheeky chuffing stepsisters, they're like, oi, over here, pal. I know whose that is. It's mine. And other sisters like, chuffing in? What they're talking about? It's my Ugg boot. Go it down Topshop. And he says, hey up, it's not from Topshop, it's from New Look. It's chuffing New Look Ugg boot. And she's like, I meant New Look. And he's like, lass, you said Topshop. What are you talking about? I see right through you. You're like glass, you sen. I see right through you, ploy. You're talking about. Another one says, I knew it was from chuffing New Look. I'm not a silly bitch. Sorry. This is what it says in the story. I should have censored it, but this is what it says. He's like, all right, well, try it on, love. She squeezes it on, tight as out. It's almost a toenails almost popping out at front. And he's like, well, close enough, innit? Close enough. She didn't stay long enough for club lights to come on. Proper dark, music's booming, smoke machine, couldn't see out, could have been you, to be honest. Didn't ask her name, don't know what your name is, don't matter. But, you'll do. Ugg boots on. You knew it from New Look, even though I just said it a second ago. Come on. Jump in Vauxhall Corsa. drive you down, end at council estate, and we'll have some heavy petting in Tesco car park. Driving down bottom, some chavs there like, hey, what you doing with her? That's my lass. And he says, they wet? He's like, that's my lass, that is. No, it ain't your lass, that. I met her down walkabout last Friday night. Couple of times we've been hanging out. These are her Ugg boots. He says, they wet. That's my lass. Get out at course, I'll have thee, lad. I'll have thee. And he says, what? I'm not having any of this. Do you know this, lad? And she's like, no. He's like, what are you talking about? Leslie, get out of that chuffing lad's course now. Get home. Get chuffing tea on. And she's like, right, all right, I'm done. You know, fair cop. Off home. He's like, chuffing hell. Not on. So, snooker prince, he's like, right, back to square one, innit? Back to square one. And there's this kid on corner waiting for ice cream truck, and he says, hey up, Ugg boots laying on tarmac, right? And he's like, hey up, I know that Ugg boot. It's that lass up at 35's. He's like, what? Yeah. Up at 35, she's always working in back garden. She's never let out. But there was this chuffing weird fairy the other day, and she was saying, oh, get this in down to Barnsley, like, have a good night out. You know, dress up in this right nice black dress, like, from Primark and all this. Get your best Ugg boots on, which is weird for dancing, but I didn't question it. And, get your son back up there. She's probably in back garden now, like sweeping up on mowing lawn and stuff or whatever. Proper weird. She's never let out. It's proper weird. It's like one of these these like kidnap dungeon situations, but she's just in garden. And he's like, all right, okay. So he's like, gets back in corset, music's blaring, like latest tunes on, chart music. So he's heading back up, like looking at, 35, all right. Knocks on door, mum opens. What do you want? Oh, just looking for owner of these Ugg boots. What? That's weird. But who's passing by, just running down steps, thought it were for her. I don't know why she'd think that. Nobody even knows she lives there. It's only our lass, innit? It's only our lass Cinderella. She's like, oh, it's you. He's like, nah, I recognise you. You all look same at, 11:30 when they've had a few Jaeger bombs. Oh, I know you now. Is this your Ugg boot? And she's like, yeah, chuffing is, look. Slips on, smooth as out, boom. Love at first sight, 2 weeks in Benidorm, perfect honeymoon. Show's over. 9 months later, first kid's on way. 3 years down the line, 3 little tykes running around. Happy story. Everyone's a winner. And that's it. They live happily ever after. Right good. That's it. That's our Yorkshire Cinderella. Job done. Now then, on to the next story. What they got lined up. Right. We're done with that. We're done with Cinderella. Had enough of it. Boring old story, that. Standard. Yorkshire Cinderella. Chuffing hell. Snooker prince. Too many Jaeger bombs and WKDs, I tell you. On Smirnoff Ice again. He thinks all lasses look the same. Shocking. How do you not recognise her? He's not like, oh, hey up, love, nice dance moves, what's your name? Make sure I remember you, like, here's my mobile number or something. Oh, no. Moonshine, says Logan. Okay. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. We'll move on. I saw that Juz mentioned that he was on 360p, absolute schoolboy error. So we're not going to have French Cinderella. We've had Yorkshire Cinderella. Let's just have our regular English Cinderella. But for those of you who are fresh into the chat, this is not the Brother Grimm's Cinderella, the Ashbuttle. This is the French older version by Charles Foucault. Let's go. Perrault, sorry. I couldn't even read it myself. I'm like, close enough. Perrault, of course. Very famous. Yeah, I'm sure Ron would do a good telling of this. Yorkshire Ron, that is. Yorkshire Ron. I'm glad you enjoyed that, guys. I saw a few of you enjoying it. Cheers, Peter, and all the rest of you. Okay. Oh, the moonshine. Yeah, with this glass. Oh, yeah, it's like absolute clear. It's about they said it were about 40%, but I reckon it must be closer to like 70, 80 that can get chuffing wasted off this stuff. Okay, let's have a jolly good read of Cinderella. So I'm going to go back to my full screen, so I won't be able to read your chat. So goodbye for now. I hope you enjoy it. I'm not sure how long this is. Can't be crazy. I have skimmed through a long time ago. I don't think it was crazy long. But let's see how this compares to the Brothers Grimm version that we had on the Foxy Book Club last year. When was that? Late September, I think it was. Something like that. So if you were there for the live or you've watched the recorded version, let's see how this compares. Or if you're just new to this, then have fun. Okay, so I can't see the chat, so please behave yourselves. And let's enjoy, courtesy of the Foxy Book Club, some Cinderella, otherwise known as The Little Glass Slipper by Charles Perrault. Once there was a gentleman who married for his second wife the proudest and most haughty woman that was ever seen. She had, by a former husband, 2 daughters of her own, who were, indeed, exactly like her in all things. He had likewise, by another wife, a young daughter, but of unparalleled goodness and sweetness of temper, which she took from her mother, who was the best creature in the world. No sooner were the ceremonies of the wedding over, but the stepmother began to show herself in her true colours. She could not bear the good qualities of this pretty girl, and the less because they made her own daughters appear the more odious. She employed her in the meanest work of the house. She scoured the dishes, tables, etc., and cleaned Madam's chamber, and those of the misses, her daughters. She slept in a sorry garret, on a wretched straw bed, while her sisters slept in fine rooms, with floors all inlaid, on beds of the very newest fashion, and where they had looking-glasses so large that they could see themselves at their full length from head to foot. The poor girl bore it all patiently, and dared not tell her father, who would have scolded her, for his wife governed him entirely. When she had done her work, she used to go to the chimney corner and sit down there in the cinders and ashes, which caused her to be called Cinder Wench. Only the younger sister, who was not so rude and uncivil as the older one, called her Cinderella. However, Cinderella, notwithstanding her coarse apparel, was 100 times more beautiful than her sisters, although they were always dressed very richly. It happened that the king's son gave a ball and invited all persons of fashion to it. Our young misses were also invited, for they cut a very grand figure among those of quality. They were mightily delighted at this invitation, and wonderfully busy in selecting the gowns, petticoats, and hair-dressing that would best become them. This was a new difficulty for Cinderella, for it was she who ironed her sisters' linen and pleated their ruffles. They talked all day long of nothing but how they should be dressed. "For my part," said the eldest, "I will wear my red velvet suit with French trimming." "And I," said the youngest, "shall have my usual petticoat, but then, to make amends for that, I will put on my gold-flowered cloak and my diamond stomacher, which is far from being the most ordinary one in the world." They sent for the best hairdresser they could get to make up their headpieces and adjust their hairdos, and they had their red brushes and patches from Mademoiselle de la Poche. They also consulted Cinderella in all these matters, for she had excellent ideas, and her advice was always good. Indeed, she even offered her services to fix their hair, which they very willingly accepted. As she was doing this, they said to her, "Cinderella, would you not like to go to the ball?" "Alas," said she, "you only jeer me. It is not for such as I am to go to such a place." "You are quite right," they replied. "It would make the people laugh to see a cinder wench at a ball." Anyone but Cinderella would have fixed their hair awry, but she was very good and dressed them perfectly well. They were so excited that they hadn't eaten a thing for almost 2 days. Then they broke more than a dozen laces trying to have themselves laced up tightly enough to give them a fine, slender shape. They were continually in front of their looking-glass. At last the happy day came. They went to court, and Cinderella followed them with her eyes as long as she could. When she lost sight of them, she started to cry. Her godmother, who saw her all in tears, asked her what was the matter. I wish I could. She was not able to speak the rest, being interrupted by her tears and sobbing. This godmother of hers, who was a fairy, said to her, "You wish that you could go to the ball, is it not so?" "Yes," cried Cinderella with a great sigh. "Well," said her godmother, "be but a good girl, and I will contrive that you shall go." And she took her into her chamber, and said to her, "Run into the garden and bring me a pumpkin." Cinderella went immediately to gather the finest she could get, and brought it to her godmother, not being able to imagine how this pumpkin could help her go to the ball. Her godmother scooped out all the inside of it, leaving nothing but the rind. Having done this, she struck the pumpkin with her wand, and it was instantly turned into a fine coach, gilded all over with gold. She then went to look into her mouse-trap, where she found 6 mice, all alive, and ordered Cinderella to lift up a little the trap door. She gave each mouse, as it went out, a little tap with her wand, and the mouse was that moment turned into a fine horse, which altogether made a very fine set of 6 horses of a beautiful mouse-coloured dapple grey. Being at a loss for a coachman, Cinderella said, "I will go and see if there is not a rat in the rat-trap that will turn into a coachman." "You are right," replied her godmother. "Go and look." Cinderella brought the trap to her, and in it there were 3 huge rats. The fairy chose the one which had the largest beard, touched him with her wand, and turned him into a fat, jolly coachman who had the smartest whiskers that eyes ever beheld. After that, she said to her, "Go again into the garden, and you will find 6 lizards behind the watering pot. Bring them to me." She had no sooner done so, but her godmother turned them into 6 footmen, who skipped up immediately behind the coach with their liveries all bedaubed with gold and silver, and clung as close behind each other as if they had done nothing else their whole lives. The fairy then said to Cinderella, "Well, you see here an equipage fit to go to the ball with. Are you not pleased with it?" "Oh, yes," she cried, "but must I go in these nasty rags?" Her godmother then touched her with her wand, and at the same instant her clothes turned into cloth of gold and silver, all beset with jewels. This done, she gave her a pair of glass slippers, the prettiest in the whole world. Being thus decked out, she got up into her coach, but her godmother, above all things, commanded her not to stay past midnight, telling her at the same time that if she stayed 1 moment longer, the coach would be a pumpkin again, her horses mice, her coachman a rat, her footmen lizards, and that her clothes would become just as they were before. She promised her godmother to leave the ball before midnight, and then drove away, scarcely able to contain herself for joy. The king's son, who was told that a great princess whom nobody knew had arrived, ran out to receive her. He gave her his hand as she alighted from the coach, and led her into the hall among all the company. There was immediately a profound silence. Everyone stopped dancing, and the violins ceased to play, so entranced was everyone with the singular beauties of the unknown newcomer. Nothing was then heard but a confused noise of, "How beautiful she is! How beautiful she is!" The king himself, old as he was, could not help watching her and telling the queen softly that it was a long time since he had seen so beautiful and lovely a creature. All the ladies were busied in considering her clothes and headdress, hoping to have some made next day after the same pattern, provided they could find such fine materials and as able hands to make them. The king's son led her to the most honourable seat, and afterwards took her out to dance with him. She danced so very gracefully that they all more and more admired her. A fine meal was served up, but the young prince ate not a morsel, so intently was he busied in gazing on her. She went and sat down by her sisters, showing them 1,000 civilities, giving them part of the oranges and citrons which the prince had presented her with, which very much surprised them, for they did not know her. While Cinderella was thus amusing her sisters, she heard the clock strike 11 3/4, whereupon she immediately made a curtsy to the company, and hurried away as fast as she could. Arriving home, she ran to seek out her godmother, and, after having thanked her, She said she could not but heartily wish she might go to the ball the next day as well, because the king's son had invited her. As she was eagerly telling her godmother everything that had happened at the ball, her two sisters knocked at the door, which Cinderella ran and opened. "You stayed such a long time," she cried, gaping, rubbing her eyes and stretching herself as if she had been sleeping. She had not, however, had any manner of inclination to sleep while they were away from home. "If you had been at the ball," said one of her sisters, "you would not have been tired with it. The finest princess was there, the most beautiful that mortal eyes have ever seen. She showed us 1,000 civilities, and gave us oranges and citrons." Cinderella seemed very indifferent in the matter. Indeed, she asked them the name of that princess, but they told her that they did not know it, and that the king's son was very uneasy on her account and would give all the world to know who she was. At this, Cinderella, smiling, replied, "She must then be very beautiful indeed. How happy you have been! Could not I see her? Ah, dear Charlotte, do lend me your yellow dress which you wear every day." "Yes, to be sure," cried Charlotte. "Lend my clothes to such a dirty cinder wench as you are? I should be such a fool." Cinderella, indeed, well expected such an answer, and was very glad of the refusal, for she would have been sadly put to it if her sister had lent her what she asked so jestingly. The next day the two sisters were at the ball, and so was Cinderella, but dressed even more magnificently than before. The king's son was always by her, and never ceased his compliments and kind speeches to her. All this was so far from being tiresome to her, and indeed she quite forgot what her godmother had told her. She thought that it was no later than 11 when she counted the clock striking 12. She jumped up and fled as nimble as a deer. The prince followed, but could not overtake her. She left behind one of her glass slippers, which the prince picked up most carefully. She reached home, but quite out of breath, and in her nasty old clothes, having nothing left of all her finery but one of the little slippers, the mate to the one that she had dropped. The guards at the palace gate were asked if they had not seen a princess go out. They replied that they had seen nobody leave but a young girl, very shabbily dressed, and who had more the air of a poor country wench than a gentlewoman. When the two sisters returned from the ball, Cinderella asked them if they had been well entertained, and if the fine lady had been there. They told her yes, but she hurried away immediately when it struck 12, and with so much haste that she dropped one of her little glass slippers, the prettiest in the world, which the king's son had picked up. That he had done nothing but look at her all the time at the ball, and that most certainly he was very much in love with the beautiful person who owned the glass slipper. What they said was very true, for a few days later the king's son had it proclaimed, by sound of trumpet, that he would marry her whose foot this slipper would just fit. They began to try it on the princesses, then the duchesses and all the court, but in vain. It was brought to the two sisters, who did all they possibly could to force their foot into the slipper, but they did not succeed. Cinderella, who saw all this, and knew that it was her slipper, said to them, laughing, "Let me see if it will not fit me." Her sisters burst out laughing and began to banter with her. The gentleman who was sent to try the slipper looked earnestly at Cinderella, and finding her very handsome, said it was only only just that she should try as well, and that he had orders to let everyone try. He had Cinderella sit down, and, putting the slipper to her foot, he found that it went on very easily, fitting her as if it had been made of wax. Her two sisters were greatly astonished, but then even more so when Cinderella pulled out of her pocket the other slipper and put it on her other foot. Then in came her godmother and touched her wand to Cinderella's clothes, making them richer and more magnificent than any of those she had worn before. And now her two sisters found her to be that fine, beautiful lady whom they had seen at the ball. They threw themselves at her feet to beg pardon for all the ill treatment they had made her undergo. Cinderella took them up, and, as she embraced them, said that she forgave them with all her heart, and wanted them always to love her. She was taken to the young prince, dressed as she was. He thought she was more charming than before, and, a few days after, married her. Cinderella, who was no less good than beautiful, gave her two sisters lodgings in the palace, and that very same day matched them with two great lords of the court. Moral. I'm guessing this is a little postscript. I would have finished the other with a little slower pace and dramatic effect if I'd have realised that this was a little secondary thing. But the moral of the story, says our author, beauty in a woman is a rare treasure that would always be admired. Graciousness, however, is priceless and of even greater value. This is what Cinderella's godmother gave to her when she taught her to behave like a queen. Young women, in the winning of a heart, graciousness is more important than a beautiful hairdo. It is a true gift of the fairies. Without it, nothing is possible. With it, one can do anything. Another moral of our 18th century story. Without doubt, it is a great advantage to have intelligence, courage, good breeding, and common sense. These and similar talents come only from heaven, and it is good to have them. However, even these may fail to bring you success without the blessing of a godfather or a godmother. Lessons to live by. Incredibly old-fashioned, incredibly traditional, but good fun nonetheless. And as you see, this little PDF download also includes Rumplestiltskin by the Grimm brothers. So if you would like that, let me know, because when I was reading some of the Brothers Grimm last time from that illustrated hardback, it does seem to have some odd versions of things, like the Hansel and Gretel was certainly not the famous Hansel and Gretel that we know, so I don't know if that was another story with the same characters or what, but I'm sure that this will be a decent version of Rumpelstiltskin, and a few of you mentioned that you would like to hear me read that at some point. When I was asking which Brothers Grimm stories you were particularly interested in. So I will leave that as a potential read. Shannon playing the drinking game to herself with my mistakes. Yeah, my eyes are a little bit tired, and it is slightly strangely written, I think. I don't know if it's just this particular translation, but the grammar here and there is like a little bit odd, and I don't know, it seemed to be catching me out a little bit, but my eyes are a little bit tired as well. So Mama Fox has headed off to bed. She enjoyed the Yorkshire Cinderella. Where did I stop? Oh, here. Carla was trying to get her friend to join the stream. Yeah, it is a nice mason jar style. The Lady Fox likes to make smoothies with these from time to time, which is very nice. Mango talking about her family or whatever, not understanding a word of the Yorkshire Cinderella. Juz, have you had to head off as well? Good night to you if you watch the replay of this and you come back across this bit. Good night to you. Lovely to have you in the stream. Yeah, you were saying you've got work early tomorrow. I hope you make it. How are you doing? Yeah, happy day going to court. Yeah, very, very different in this case. I'm glad you like the little sound effects here and there. I didn't do a knock on the door. I didn't think it was necessary. I thought like I'll focus on the little magic pops and the tippy taps of the wand and those things instead, rather than chucking in a door knock. Talking of door knocks, though, I really enjoyed those scenes with Sam in Lord of the Rings the other day. Like I gave him a little knock both times when he was coming into Frodo's bedroom, and Sam is just the sweetest companion. I think he's absolutely fantastic. And when he's interrupting Bilbo at the end when they're sat just reflecting on things. And then Bilbo says that he's gonna head off into the garden and look at the stars and whatever else is, what other magical elvish things happen in one of Elrond's gardens. It must be a very beautiful place, the last homely house of Rivendell. And then the music cuts in rather nicely, I think, if I may say so. Very atmospheric. But Sam, yeah, knocking on the door and all shy and so happy to see his friend Frodo recovering. Yeah, just catching up with the chat a little bit. Glad Mango's enjoying the Foxy Book Club whilst dinner's in the oven. It was obvious that you're listening along, of course, Shannon, but very nice that you've been able to join this tonight, because you really were, you really wasn't sure. You really weren't sure whether you were going to be able to join with you working this evening, so very nice to have you here, of course. And Ada's popped in as well. Very nice to see you. Very nice to see you. Oh, and Wolf Players has popped in as well. Good stuff. Oh, and Carla's friend Kai has popped in also. Welcome to you three joining. Very nice. Good stuff. Nice to see you in the Foxy Book Club. No one mentioned Rumplestiltskin when I popped it up on the screen there. And honestly, I feel like in the mood for various things, but I think I will go take my contact lenses out and just stick my glasses on, because my eyes are quite tired. And if I'm going to read a chapter of To Marry a Prince, they can be quite long. The last one was a bit shorter than usual, but I've seen that the next one is... Excuse me, I've got a bit of indigestion as usual. But yeah, I've seen that the next To Marry a Prince chapter is more usual for this story, and they're relatively long. So I think with my eyes already being a little bit tired, I will just go and put my glasses on. Yeah, I am quite tired today actually. I didn't have like a great night's sleep last night, which was a shame because I'd been planning this Sunday stream. So, but these contact lenses always make my eyes tired at this point. Like I think this morning, or this early afternoon, we had some beautiful sunshine here for a change because the weather has been absolutely awful for weeks. It's depressingly grey here, but we had bright sunshine and blue skies, which is so rare at the moment for some reason. So it was lovely to get out. We went for a walk in a very beautiful part of the city, and had some nice lunch and blah blah blah. Took a little boat trip and things. It was very nice. But I was feeling like rather fresh faced, or however you say, and I was going to say bushy tailed and all the rest of it. But yeah, like I think the poor night's sleep and wearing contact lenses all day has caught up on me a little bit. I could feel it a couple of hours ago, but it is quite late, to be honest. It's nearly 2 a.m. So that is generally why I can be looking a little bit rough when I'm streaming, because I'm nearly always streaming way after midnight. So obviously, if I was streaming at 6 in the afternoon in the evening, it would be different. So I'm not ridiculously tired or anything, but I've been up since probably like 9 this morning, and it was a bit of a broken sleep, like I said. So yeah, but it's nothing extreme, not at all. Yeah. Wolf's not new to the channel. But yeah, nice to see that you have been trying to drop into the streams. It's just not always gonna fit with your schedule and everything. But nice to see you back in the book club. And thanks for welcoming people in as well, guys. It's really nice. Yeah, I really, really like contact lenses. I honestly do, but I'm quite new to them. So I guess it takes your eyes a bit of time to adjust as well. And some days they feel absolutely fine. Of course, they can get a little bit itchy later in the day or whatever. And then some days they seem to really tire my eyes very quickly. So I don't know, maybe it can be to do with sleep, maybe it can be to do with how hydrated you are, maybe it's to do with the weather, or like what kind of activities you're doing. I don't know. But like I said, I will go and switch into my glasses, I think, and just take the strain off my eyes a little bit, because the glasses are always more relaxing. Yeah, I found it weird at first. That was one of the main reasons that I put off trying contact lenses for so many years, was that I just really didn't think that I would want to be putting them in, taking them out, and kind of like looking after them a little bit. It's not a big deal, but with the routine of like keeping them in the lotion, in the fluid or whatever. So I tried disposable ones a little bit, but they're very expensive, and it just feels stupid throwing away so much stuff. So I've got longer wear ones now. But yeah, I'm still very new to it, really, so it seems to be tiring. But I'm totally used to putting them in and taking them out now. That doesn't bother me at all. Yeah, I've never ever like poked myself in the eye, like with all the times that I've tried it now over these last few weeks, and I was doing it a little bit last year as well. I've never once like poked myself in the eye or like made my eye run or anything like that. I think I've got the technique pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I've never had any problems with that. I found it way smoother than I thought. I don't know why, but the optician that helped me out with it last summer when I first tried them briefly, I think she was just really, really, really good. Like, she just made it feel like no big deal. Like, she was super patient. I think gave me some good tips, and I just didn't feel silly. I tried them years ago just for like a, a sight test, and then kind of just a brief test, like I'll put these in for you and you go for a little walk and see what you think. And it was uncomfortable. It just felt awkward. My eyes were just like, what the hell is this? And I just felt really stupid with the whole, like you're saying, Kai, like just with the hassle and everything. But I've really, really, really taken to it, because like you're saying, it's a pain with working out and cycling. I really like it, because I used to play a lot of football, like I've mentioned, and I used to go running a lot. I still do a bit here and there, but I mean, the difference for me wearing contact lenses versus wearing nothing or wearing glasses, it's a huge improvement. Absolutely, like ridiculously different. And I like playing pool and snooker. And again, like huge improvement. I don't know how I survived for so many years. And actually doing a pretty decent job at football and pool and other and like racket sports and all sorts of stuff without the contact lenses or without glasses even. I didn't wear glasses for years even though I needed them. I don't know how I managed it. I think you just kind of get used to everything being a bit blurry, and you just you just adjust to it, I suppose. But now, I remember like the first time I went just for a bit of friendly football with the contact lenses in, I was like, it was a revelation. I was like, I can see things. It's ridiculous. Like I love making long passes and long shots and stuff like that, and like actually be able to crisply see who I'm passing to and judge players like coming and going, and like judge the distance of the ball so much more accurately when it's coming quickly towards you and stuff like that. Like absolute revelation. And like long shots in pool and particularly snooker, it's completely different. So yeah, awesome. Okay, yeah, maybe it's different with like racing bikes and speed skating, like when the wind is hitting you and stuff like that. That I can imagine is very different, because with football, even like running quickly or going out for a run and all those kind of things, it's fine. But I'm only going to be playing for a couple of hours, as if you're doing endurance stuff maybe for many, many hours and with like higher speeds and things like that. I'm sure that would be a little different. But yeah, a few of you mentioning that you've struggled with it, and like I said, that was what one of the things that always put me off. The cost as well. Oh, humid weather, that must make a difference also. Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, but like whether it's dry or higher humidity, that will definitely make a difference. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the little boat trip was very nice. I don't know if have any of you been to Stockholm before? It's a flipping wonderful city. I absolutely love it. And there's waterways everywhere. Like I've mentioned this on streams I think before, but if you're not familiar, the city is built on approximately 30,000 islands, which sounds crazy. Most of them are not inhabited, although there are little houses dotted all over the place as well. But the main block of the city is arranged on about seven. It's like like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then there's kind of like 8, and then there's this like big block which is actually mainland, but if you call that 9 just for like because there's waterways around, and then you've got kind of like 10, 11, 12, and then 13, 14 smaller ones, but there's stuff there. 15, 16, yeah, and then there's then it all breaks up here. It's so unique in its geography. It's really, really, really awesome, Stockholm. And so you can take instead of taking a bus to go to certain parts of the city, or taking the underground, like the metro and stuff, you can take boats, like little ferries places, just included in your monthly travel card cost. You know what I mean? So it's like having an Oyster card in the London Underground. You've got this little blue SL card for the public transport, and you can use this same card for everything, whether it's a regular train, or the underground, or whether it's buses, or whether it's trams, or whether it's these little boats, which is just it's so cool. So yeah, you can head over to this really beautiful part of the town where a lot of the museums are, called Djurgården. And Djurgården it's like the old royal animal park, basically. And there's still a huge zoo there, a very nice zoo. I know zoos are not always pleasant at all, but a very nice zoo. All sorts of different museums and galleries. There's cafes. There's like a little botanical gardens kind of thing. All sorts of beautiful little trails and forest to walk through, and little rivers, and yeah, there's even a really cool early 19th century theme park, which is really cool, called Grunelund. All sorts of stuff. There's an aquarium. There's an old 18th, it is 18th century, I think, 18th century, incredibly well preserved boat that you can tour and visit and everything. All sorts of stuff. And yeah, you can take the tram there, you can walk, you can bus, or you can take one of these little boats, which is so cute, and especially when the weather is great, like it was today. It's very, very, very beautiful, and you've views of all sorts of different parts of the city, like the old town, and these cliffs and old houses, and the downtown areas, and the old grand hotels and posher districts. You can see it all from this little short boat trip, and yeah, it's super. Yeah, so strongly recommend visiting Stockholm sometime, and I'm full of tips, honestly. Madeline's just asking about Swedish, and honestly, my Swedish is poor. I understand quite a lot of Swedish, and apparently my pronunciation is quite good, so I've been told. But actually constructing my own sentences and everything, I'm really, really poor. I should be so much better. In certain contexts it's okay, but a lot of it is to do with confidence, and I'm a native English speaker, raised in a country where only one language is spoken, and I think that really does inhibit you. And although I performed well at school and such, language was never something that a foreign language like French or Spanish was not something that I felt came so naturally. So yeah, I should be a lot better in Swedish. You give me a menu, you talk to me about something relatively straightforward, especially if I know the context and I'm going to understand what's going on, and I can, order food and make little basic chit chat and things in Swedish, and my vocabulary is quite good. If I hear a word, even some more unusual words, I know what people are talking about. But to actually openly converse in Swedish, definitely not. So I really need to work on that. It's easy to be very lazy though when you're when you're living in Sweden, because the standard of English is so high here, and a lot of people, I mean, especially younger generation, like a lot of people definitely enjoy speaking English and like the excuse to test their English, especially on a native English person. Seem to find it very fun. Not everybody. Some people can obviously be like very nervous and feel shy, but a lot of people will very, very happily shift over to English. So if you're trying to speak Swedish, if you're struggling, it's so easy just to be like, okay, let's go for the English then. And when I first moved here, I was working in international schools. So I was, my good level of native British English was desired, so I was kind of teaching in English, and all my colleagues were English speakers. So you end up getting in like this little expat English speaking bubble, which yeah, I guess it just makes it again easier to be a little bit lazy, but in terms of being familiar with Swedish geography and like being very familiar with Stockholm, I've been told by a couple of people, like, honestly, you should be a tour guide or something. Like, you know this place so well. Like, wherever we're walking, it's kind of like, you know this street and this cafe and some viewpoint and like what year this church was built or whatever, like some random thing, or some context behind a particular place or whatever. So if you do ever come to Stockholm, let me at least try and give you some pointers, like some tips of nice places to visit, because it's easy to get overwhelmed by a city, I think, when you're traveling, especially if you're only coming for a few days. It's very easy just to kind of like, okay, where do I even start? I can just go to a couple of famous tourist locations. Yeah, maybe just kind of keep it simple, but Stockholm is beautiful, very varied, and there's lots of kind of like little cute corners or pretty places that you might not come across unless you're familiar with it and you've been living here for some time. And even some people that have lived here all their life don't know the city so well. They stay within the places they know, hang out in similar neighborhoods, maybe with similar groups of people and stuff like that. As I don't know, I've always been very interested in exploring and getting to know a new place, and I've always been really into geography and history and all sorts of things, and that, I guess, that feeds my way of traveling in general and getting to know a new city and everything. So yeah, I was just reading back through the chat a second, and then I'll go chuck these contact lenses out and put my glasses on, and then we can read some Tamaria Prince. Laser surgery. I've been tempted by that for years. It's very expensive, isn't it, Shannon? And I've always been scared by it. I'm not gonna lie. You're saying like, heck no. Excuse me, sorry, my stomach has been annoying. But yeah, I would love to actually just have them corrected, but I'm not gonna lie, the idea is rather scary. Have any of you guys had laser eye surgery? Is there any positive recommendations out there? Because I imagine that as the years go on, this technology and procedure, I know there's various different procedures, but that these procedures must be more and more precise and safe and everything. Oh, that's cool. Kai was like, you were saying that you've been up to Uppsala, which is just a bit north of Stockholm, a very old city. There's a little town. I think it's northeast. I might be wrong, but there's a little town just out of Uppsala called Gamla Uppsala, which just means old Uppsala, and that is one of the oldest Viking locations on Earth. Like, out of all the Scandinavian countries, which is pretty interesting. There's various kind of like famous historical spots there and stuff. But Uppsala is a really nice little city, very famous university city too. I don't know Jamshög though. Not familiar. Is that Sweden? Not familiar with that place. Ah, yeah, you should definitely get yourself over to Europe. I mean, Europe is so diverse. I don't know if I would make England my first stop. I mean, there's many beautiful places in England and in the UK in general, of course, and it depends what you're after as well, what your interests are. I'm not going to start embarrassing myself in Swedish at the moment. I have said random Swedish bits and bobs over the streams here and there, but some very well travelled Fox fans in the chat tonight. Switzerland is absolutely gorgeous. I've been a couple of times. Absolutely wonderful. I mean, it really depends what kind of geography you're into. If you want in beaches, probably not the best country for you. But the lakes are absolutely gorgeous. They almost look like sea. They're so expansive, so gorgeous. And obviously the mountains and the rolling hills and the valleys and everything, just amazing. And like, I've been through Switzerland by train, and I've been through Switzerland by car. Both are fantastic. There's pluses and minuses to both, but I love driving up these winding clifftop roads and stuff. I find it so fun. I think road tripping is really fun, and I've been interrailing a couple of times for like a couple of months. Awesome too. It's a little bit more laid back in a sense. You don't need to worry about the driving, even though you're a bit more restricted with where you can stop and everything. But both fantastic. Yeah, strongly recommend Switzerland also, with Madeline recommending that. I mean, but you're saying like only 2,500. I mean, it's a lot of money. Not that many people have a couple of grand lying around. Yeah, I think it can be even more than that. Maybe not. But it's still, it's a lot of money. I mean, when I've been short on cash in the past, just the idea of paying 20 quid a month for some contact lenses was like, whoa, no way. I can't afford that. So like £2,500 or dollars or euros, it's not far off each way. Has always felt a little bit unrealistic, but it's mainly the fear of like, what if something went wrong that's put me off, I must say, because you can always save for these things, of course. Oh, that's cool, Logan. Yeah, I've heard of that kind of thing before. Under certain circumstances, having your eyes actually done. So with military duty in this, that's wicked. Jamshög in the south of Sweden. Yeah, I've never come across that. I wonder if it's in Skåne. It could be Småland, maybe. I thought I would have heard of it. I guess it's a very tiny spot. I know it's not a big town or anything like that. Yeah, British history is controversial but incredibly interesting. Okie dokie. Interesting sentence there, Kai. Are you using Google Translate there? I think it sounds a little bit off, but I get it. But I'm not going into Swedish mode today. Okay, so I'm gonna go and take the contacts out. I'll be back very soon. And nice to see a nice little healthy bunch of you in the live stream today. It's really, really, really lovely. So I'll try not to keep you waiting too long. So for those of you that have been popping in recently, I was being a little bit silly and having a Yorkshire, my own version, a spontaneous version of Yorkshire Cinderella. And then we had the French writing of Cinderella. And we had, like I've mentioned, we've got Rumpelstiltskin up on the screen, but today's focus was to read the next chapter of To Marry a Prince. That's been well overdue, and I feel that it's commissioned through Patreon, and there's quite a bunch of you that are big fans of To Marry a Prince, actually. So I feel like I feel a bit bad that I've not read a chapter for a while. So I feel like I really should get going. I was hoping for a couple of chapters today, but I think realistically I don't want to start doing a bad job of it at like 4 a.m. or something. So we've had Cinderella, we've had Yorkshire Cinderella. So let's do one chapter of To Marry a Prince, and we'll take it from there. There might be a little bit of energy for Rumpelstiltskin or something small, but I won't make any promises. Okay, but back very soon. I'll put my little ugly BRB sign on. So yeah, back very soon. Literally just taking my eyeballs out and putting some glasses on. All right. Back in a sec. Hello, Fox fans. Hopefully, these bad boys will bring a little bit of life back to my eyeballs. We can hope. So, I'm gonna fire up Tamara Prince. Are there many Prince fans in the house today, by the way? I know, like I said, there's quite a lot of Tamara Prince fans out there. I don't think any of you were familiar with the story before I started in, by Teresa's request. But it's it's this kind of like romantic comedy genre is not my regular fare. But I mean, I've always enjoyed it. I have always enjoyed it. I especially enjoy it because it's Teresa's choice, and it's very satisfying to bring that to life. And I know she really, really, really appreciates it. And then, like I said, there's been quite a following that's built up as well. So that's always very satisfying. And I really get into it at times. I really, really enjoy it at times. Yeah, and it's fun to challenge yourself and try different things. Yeah, and it has. I just saw Ada was saying, has it been a long time since we read it? And yeah, I did a live stream with some Tamara Prince over on Twitch, in something like October, something like that. Yeah, something like that. October-ish, I think, was the last. So it's not been a ridiculously long time, but a while. um, yeah, I was just saying how you were describing it, because who was asking? Oh, Wolf was saying, yeah, what's happened so far? I mean, quite a lot has happened. It's just I haven't read it for a couple of months, so of course the train is still in the station. But I was enjoying Kai's little synopsis there. You thought I'd fallen asleep. I wasn't that long. I mean, gosh. You're talking about like how difficult you find contact lenses, and then you're expecting me to like just like run into the bathroom and be like, boom, bosh, God, like run back in here again. It's like, give me a moment, lady. I'm back. Oh, so there's a few Prince fans. That's really nice. So yeah, like I said, even if you'd never come across it, I mean, it's not a world famous book like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and all these others. But a lot of you gave it a shot and have been enjoying them. So yeah, we're on chapter 10. Oh, sorry, I've got the wrong source still here. I thought I'd changed it over. So yeah, we're on chapter 10. The last chapter read on YouTube, I think, was chapter 8. But chapter 9 over on Twitch, I should have, there's a half an hour stream on YouTube where I was introducing that I was going to read Tamara Prince over on Twitch. And I forgot to change the name of that stream to something indicating Tamara Prince chapter 9 was being read over there. So there's probably a few of you that don't even realize that we've had chapter 9 and think that chapter 8, which chapter 8 was back in the summer of last year. Maybe it was July or something like that. Late July, maybe August. So some of you might think that was the last chapter, but we have had one late autumn-ish. Anyway, which why is this? I'm just changing the source. 1 second. There we go. Here we go. And that should be big enough. Hopefully you can read that, those of you that have got the 720p fired up. I used to post everything that I shared on Twitch, or many things that I shared on Twitch, onto YouTube. And then when I was trying to apply for monetization the last time, they failed me. I won't go into all these boring details about that you're only ever speaking to robots and that you can never speak to a human with YouTube and everything. But it sounded like, from the reason that they declined my channel verification / monetization, was some form of duplication. And I thought, well, I mean, all my content is original. The only thing that can be seen as duplication would be that I'm sharing recorded streams from Twitch on YouTube. So very reluctantly, I removed a bunch of streams that I'd uploaded from Twitch to YouTube, applied for monetization, got it accepted, and I thought, oh, right, okay, so that's what the reason was. And then literally like a couple of days later, I got an email saying, oh, on further review, we've decided to remove your monetization. So what? I have no idea. There was no explanation. So I just seemingly removed them for nothing. So at one point I was being really meticulous with uploading all the streams to the Google Drive, and I got really lazy with that recently. Always takes me a little bit of time to do that, and they take up a lot of storage space, the streams, when you download them. You know, they're always like a couple of gigabytes. But I'll try and catch up with that and get the recorded streams up on the Patreon audio libraries, you know, in the Google Drive and everything. And as always, like when I reach a certain amount of chapters or whatever, I try to make a compilation and then share that on my YouTube channel as well. So obviously there's a Tamari Prince Part 1 with those first, is it 7 chapters? 7 or 8 chapters? So I guess like when we get a couple of more, like 2, 3, 4 chapters further in, I'll make a part 2. So whether it was streamed on Twitch or on YouTube, I'll stick them all together and make a part 2. So they will all end up on YouTube at some point, for sure. Okay. Okay. So I'll get started. What happened to Teresa, by the way? Was I seeing things? I thought she popped in to the chat. Did she not? Did she say hello and then run away again? Or was I just hallucinating? Just hoping that she'd be here, as this is her request. I can't go all the way back in the chat. Let me know before I get started. I'm just curious whether she was in town or not. I mean, I know she'll still really appreciate the reading anyway. She always appreciates it. Ah, she's driving. Did she say whether she was going to pop back in later, or is she busy? I hope she's not lost in one of these Canadian blizzards that they've been having. What did she say? Like I said, I can't get all the way to the top of the chat now. Oh, hey, Caitlin. I didn't realise you'd popped in. Nice to see you. You said you were going to make it tonight, but you didn't make it at the beginning, so I guess that you were busy, but very nice to see you in the book club. Good stuff, good stuff. Any more news on Teresa? Because, you know, if she was going to be here in 5 minutes, I would hold off. Oh, she said she's in the background. Okay. Well, I'll get started, and like I said, I know she always really, really, really appreciates it, whether she's there or not, and I know she obviously prefers to listen to it live. But I will begin. So thanks to all of you that are still in the stream. Really cool to have you here. And if you're watching this back recorded, bloody good on you. Alright, let's get going. So, yeah, I was thinking of, shall I put a little message so you can see, like for someone that drops into the stream, I've meant to do this before, that you will be able to see what book I'm reading. I will just take 1 minute. Shall I? Or is it? Maybe it's not important. Is it important? Maybe it's slightly important. Slightly important. 1 second. Just keep yourself entertained for a minute. Okay. I don't think it will look beautiful, but it will do the job. You can read that, I'm sure. Double thumbs up. Ah, there you go. Pay attention to me, Stephen. Nice to see you, Teresa. Good job. Okay, I can begin. Ah, hey Logan, you're still here as well. Who's in the chat? Say hello to me. I'm gonna go full screen, so I won't be able to see you, but it's nice. It's nice to know that you're there. Thanks for being here, guys. Let's get going. Okay, so as you can hopefully see up at the top there, this is chapter 10 of Sophie Page's To Marry a Prince. And if you haven't listened to chapter 9 already, you can find that over on my Twitch channel. The link is in the video description. And like I've just been saying a few minutes ago, when we get to... I'll have to just figure it out so that it's a similar length to part 1. But when we get to something like chapter 13 or 14, I will compile all these and upload those as a To Marry a Prince part 2 as well. So, of course, you can always wait for that. Alright. So, get comfy wherever you are, or if you're busy, if you're up to something, let this just be a nice, relaxing accompaniment. Foxy Book Club. Chapter 10. Breaking up, making up. Girl about town. Bella spent a restless night. The scary thing was that she was almost certain that Lottie was right. It came as a nasty shock. She hadn't been in love with anyone since the actor who played Romeo when she went to Stratford with a school trip. Not in love. She'd had good boyfriends and bad boyfriends. She'd gone out with guys who were so keen on her it seemed she couldn't turn round without treading on them, and others who managed to slot her in once a week between their careers and their squash, rugby, golf and stamp collecting. There had been relationships which ran out of steam over months, and relationships which flared up like a firework and died in a week. She'd been more serious about Francis than about anyone else. Now she thought about it, she'd been dazzled by his reputation in their small circle, and even thought they might have a future together. But she had never said to herself that she was in love with him. He doesn't make my toes curl. Oh, hell. That was the worst reason in the world for seeing someone. No substance to it at all, and it could be dreadfully deceptive. Yes, but Francis had been a deceiver too in his own mean, egotistical way, and he was totally free from the toe-curling factor. I don't think Richard is a deceiver, but why hasn't he called me? What am I going to do if he doesn't? And what the hell am I going to do if he does? However, next day she was too busy to think about Richard or anyone else for that matter. The evil dentist fired his senior hygienist after a long-running fight about supplies, and the other hygienists all walked out on the spot. Bella spent the whole morning on the phone rearranging appointments. Her employer wanted her to work over her lunch hour as well, but she was determined to see Anthea and refused. It was as well as she did. The moment she went in, one of Anthea's assistants leaped up and almost hugged her. "Bella! Oh, it's good to see you. Anthea's been trying to contact you all week. She's got the absolutely right job for you. Number 2 at a tree conservation charity. Wait right there and I'll get you the job spec. Anthea will have finished with her client by the time you've looked through it." Anthea herself was less effusive. "Don't you ever answer the phone? Oh well, never mind. You're here now. Don't move from that seat until I've got you an interview." Bella left the agency with an appointment to see the charity's director and chairman that evening, and clear evidence that her phone was not reliable. In fact, when she looked at the memory, she saw that she had not received or sent text for several days. She could not get to the phone shop until the evening, but the friendly assistant recognized her and her new phone and was only too happy to sort it out. "It's a design fault. It happens when you press..." He showed her the exact key sequence to be avoided, and Bella told him he was brilliant. It was more difficult to undo, apparently, but eventually he found a way through the walls and barriers, and up flickered a great list of unanswered texts. On the bus down Piccadilly, she ran through them, skipping over Anthea's, Neil's, and her mother's. Yes, there it was. At 10:18 yesterday morning, Richard had texted, "I'm an arse. Forgive." Bella pressed the phone to her heart. He hadn't been ignoring her. He hadn't stayed angry and imperious. He was the man she'd thought he was. He'd texted 8 times in all during the day and another 6 today. She didn't have time to read them all because the bus had reached Green Park and she had to get off. She was meeting her potential employers at the Ritz for a drink, but the text she had read grew increasingly frantic. She almost danced along the wet cold pavements and into the fabulous hotel. An hour later, she emerged with a new job. She could have gone home, of course, told Lottie and taken her out to celebrate. She would do that, of course she would. Later. First, she had to read the rest of Richard's messages. It wouldn't wait until she got back to the Pimlico flat. So Bella found a coffee shop, bought a coffee she didn't want, and tucked herself into a corner table so she could go through them in order. He knew he had been horrible as soon as he left, he said, but he had been preoccupied about how to keep her name and address from his security officer. The reliable Ian had not been on duty. She had known that Richard didn't get on as well with any of his other minders, but it sounded as if he really disliked this particular guy. It had obviously been a really full day too, and his team had had to scramble to try and reschedule things all the way. He had known they would, as soon as he realised how late he had slept. He was sorry he had taken his temper out on Bella. What could he do to apologise? There followed a series of increasingly lunatic treats by means of which he hoped to lure her back, starting with stargazing on the South Downs and ending with diamond earrings of her choice. Bella grinned and composed her answer to this last with care. Downs cold, earrings also. Write me a sonnet. P.S. Not ignoring you, phone not working. She drank some of the lukewarm latte and went through the other texts. Anthea's added nothing to what she had said today, so Bella deleted them. Neil, on the other hand, had clearly wished he'd not unloaded his troubles in the wine bar. Bella wasn't to take it too seriously, he texted. He'd been tired, and it had been a tough week. He and Val were fine, really, just fine, and Bella wasn't to worry about him. His later texts about the Viking longboat were a lot less stilted and more believable. He was clearly going to have the time of his life as a Viking oarsman. Bella decided that Lottie was a genius and texted her to tell her so. Her phone pinged, and she saw Richard had replied. Eagerly, she opened the message. Sonnet too long. Settle for a haiku. P.S. Bad phone. Bella laughed aloud. Haiku too short. Offers? She started to work her way through her mother's texts. Janet had never really embraced the idea of texting brevity. She wrote in paragraphs, more or less as the ideas poured out of her brain. There had been times when it made Bella feel seasick, as if she were trying to stand upright on a surfboard, with the waves getting bigger and faster underneath her. This time, however, it just stirred her conscience. Janet was worried that there was something Bella wasn't telling her. She knew that children need their privacy, and she didn't want to pry, but she didn't want Bella to feel that she had to carry everything on her own, either. No matter what happened, no matter what Bella had done, she said this several times in 10 different messages. There was always a home for her with Janet and Kevin. They would always be there for her. Kevin would be delighted to help her find a job or to fund her course if she wanted to retrain. Janet would do anything Bella wanted. Anything. The last text was a killer. I know we've never had a lot in common. Sometimes I feel I don't know you at all, but I have this feeling that you're on the edge of something huge. Don't shut me out, Bella. I'm your mother and I love you. I want to help. You know me better than you think, Ma. Better than I know myself, maybe. I didn't know I was on the edge of something huge until last night. But true as that was, it didn't help her reply to her mother. There was another ping. She looked. Richard again. Quatrain, 4 lines. Can I see you this evening? She snorted. I know it's 4 lines, smug sod. Octet, 8 lines, minimum acceptable. His reply came back so fast she suspected he'd guess what she would say. A triolet? What about this evening? She laughed aloud. Okay, you got me. What's a triolet? She was drinking coffee when his reply pinged back. She nearly choked as she read it. If you meet me this evening, I can tell you all about triolets. She could just hear him saying it. There was no doubt what she would do, really. It was just a question of how long she was going to make him persuade her. And then she thought, I'm on the edge of something huge. This is no time to play games. So she didn't. When and where? Almost as soon as she'd sent it, her phone rang. It was Richard. Are we okay? I don't know, Bella said honestly. I hope so. She heard him give a long, relieved sigh. You are a wonderful woman. And we really can meet? Yes. Where are you? About 500 yards from the Ritz. I just got me a real job. Brilliant. His voice was warm. Tell me all about it when I see you. Which will be where? Take a cab to the Chelsea embankment. I'll see you by the dolphin statue at the foot of the Albert Bridge. Okay, when? He was plainly astonished. Now, of course. He was waiting for her. He made a lonely figure, standing by the statue as cars came to a stop at the traffic lights or swooshed past along the river road speeding home. There was hardly anyone else about, just a couple of people hurrying over the bridge. They were hunched against the cold, anxious to get home. An edging of fairy lights picked out the struts and pretty Gothic towers of the bridge, turning it magical. But everyone shot past, intent on their own affairs. It was, she realized, a good place to meet if you didn't want anyone to notice. Richard was wearing an old fisherman's navy jacket with toggles on the front and an obviously torn pocket, stamping his feet against the cold. As she climbed out of the taxi, Bella almost didn't recognize him for a moment. Almost. He was looking across the river and didn't see her as she crossed the road. She hesitated. Last time they'd met, she had run into his arms. But that didn't feel right this time, and anyway, it needed to be mutual. She cleared her throat. He turned. She said the first thing that came into her head. It was idiotic. I've never seen you wear a jacket like that before. I borrowed it. Don't you like it? Borrowed it from whom? Well, more inherited it, really. I don't have to wear it again if you don't care for it. Inherited it? His voice was warm with laughter. Come and see. He held out his hand. She took it. And, as simply as that, everything was all right again. He walked her along beside the dark river, their hands entwined. Eventually they came to a collection of houseboats, bobbing gently on the tide. This way. Stunned, Bella followed him down onto the dock and then a walkway over the water. It all seemed very domestic. There were even garden planters on some of the decks. There were lights on in a couple of boats, but mostly they seemed dark. It didn't seem the place for a restaurant, even a super discreet one. She said so. You're right. Not another restaurant. Tonight I'm cooking. You have a houseboat? She couldn't believe it. A share in one. Here we are. It was one of the smaller boats. At first, Bella thought it was in darkness too, but as he led the way on deck, she saw that there was a sort of porch light above a door. He opened it and held out his hand to her again. Welcome aboard, and mind the step. We go down the companionway and then we're home. It was like stepping into another universe. The companionway was not much more than a spruced-up wooden stepladder at a 60-degree angle painted white. She stopped halfway down, looking round, trying to get her bearings. It was more like a large, friendly wooden tunnel than a boat. There were soft lights at waist height set into the walls and skylights set in the ceiling. To her right, at the end of the narrow space, she saw a small kitchen, clearly already in use, with vegetables waiting on a chopping block. Between cupboards and the companionway, there was a table, old and well polished, with a motley set of bentwood and bar-room chairs set round it. Bella counted 9. To her left, there was a built-in seating, a beaten-up armchair that had clearly seen better days, and a small desk. There seemed to be bookcases in every corner that could be found, but everything was wonderfully neat. "This is yours." He beamed with pride. "Like I said, I share it. My godfather left it to me and all his other godchildren when he died. We decided to keep it on. We run it between us. It's a bolt hole very few people know about. None of my family has ever been here, but I love it. Come and talk to me while I cook. You can even have a seat." He pulled out a tall folding stool and set it for her with some ceremony. He gave her a glass of wine and returned to his interrupted cooking. Bella watched, fascinated. "I didn't have you down as a cook." He flashed her a smile. "You had me down as a useless royal who wouldn't even dress himself." She blushed, but said with spirit, "Can you blame me?" "Not after my last performance, no. I'm sorry about that." "Yes, you said. It's forgotten." He put down his knife briefly, leaned forward, and kissed the tip of her nose. But he did it, she noticed, rather carefully, as if he wasn't quite sure how she would take it. Well, good. "You're a forgiving woman." It wasn't quite a question, but he wasn't absolutely sure of himself, she saw. But Bella was more shaken by that casual caress than she wanted to admit, or even to think about. So she just said, "Aren't I just?" and dived into her red wine. Richard went back to slicing courgettes. He was very fast. She said curiously, "Have you trained or something?" He smiled. "Imagine you're a child in a drafty castle you don't really know, which is full of adults being terribly serious. It's too wet to play outside and people keep telling you not to run around or disturb your parents because they're sad. Your nanny is looking after the little ones and says a big boy like you ought to be able to keep himself amused. What would you do?" "Run away to sea," said Bella flippantly. "Right. I ran to the kitchen, and a wonderful ex-army chef who had no stupid ideas about keeping small boys away from knives taught me how to chop vegetables and pluck and draw a pheasant." He diced carrots with equal expertise, then onions with no sign of eye-watering. "The skills have stayed with you, then. When I start something, I like to finish it, and do it properly, too." "I can see that." She sipped her wine. "When was this grim time?" "When my grandfather died. My grandfather, the king." "Oh." He took chicken thighs out of the fridge and dusted them lightly with seasoned cornflour. As he worked, he said, "When girls ask what it's like being a prince, of course, I don't know, because I don't know what it's like not to be one. But I do know what it's like suddenly to realize you're a king. I watched it happen that week. I was 9. I saw it all. My mother went on doing what she always does, looking on the bright side, being constructive, doing the next thing. My father froze. It was a desolate little world he was describing. Bella had a sudden vision of the isolated 9-year-old and his grieving, overwhelmed parents. Was it unexpected? And were they close, your father and your grandfather? He didn't answer, turning on the small oven and putting a casserole dish in it to warm. Then he poured oil into a pan and heated it up. When the oil was smoking, he picked up the chicken joints and placed them carefully in the pan. Minimum splatter, Bella noticed. He was right. What he did properly. More than that, he did it with attention to detail and precision. Bella did not cook much, but whenever she did something like this, she regularly coated every flat surface with a fine spray of oil or fat. She looked at him with increasing respect. But she had overstepped some royal boundary by asking about his father. She said hastily, "Don't answer that if I shouldn't have asked. Sorry, I was just interested." He turned away from the food and took both her hands in his. "You can ask anything you like," he said with surprising intensity. "Anything, whenever you want." "Okay," she said slowly, "but I don't want you to think you have to answer. I mean, not if it's private or some deep family secret or something." Richard turned back to the pan, adjusting the heat, cooking tongs at the ready, concentrating on the food. He said levelly, "It's no secret. My grandfather was a bully and a bigot. He had all the vices and a low boredom threshold, which meant he made everyone's life hell just because he could. Everyone who was able to avoid him did. That included my father. My mother was particularly good at arranging our lives so that there was minimum opportunity to see the old bastard. My mother has honed dutiful business to an art form." There was something in his voice that made Bella sit up and pay very close attention suddenly. He sent her an odd, almost shame-faced look. "You know the first time we met, when you fell into the foliage and I pulled you out?" She nodded. "You must have forgotten, but you said something that night that I really recognized." "Me?" She couldn't think what it was. "You said, 'My mother's much too busy running a charity ball to have me home.' My mother has never organised a charity do in her life. But, well, my brother and sister and I, we always knew where we were in the priority list. After King, Country, Parliament, Prime Minister, and probably a few favourite charities in that order." Bella was stunned. The Queen was always supposed to be the perfect mother. The King was said to be eccentric and distant, but not the Queen. Never. She did not know what to say. Fortunately, Richard did not wait for an answer. Of course, even my mother couldn't get round a direct command from the King, so he had to go sometimes. And when he died, she lost all her options. We all did. "Oh, love." Bella was appalled. She slid off the stool and rubbed his back in futile but heartfelt solidarity. He leaned back into her touch while he carried on cooking. "Worse for my father. I think now that he was probably terrified that he was going to turn out like the old man once he was king. I've noticed that the nastiest thing you can say to him is, 'You're just like your father.' Sometimes one of the elderly relatives did it, and he goes into a brown study for days." She said, "I thought you were the perfect family. No divorces, no mistresses, no scandals." "No scandals? My brother George, riding a motorbike through the centre of Bristol dressed as a banana?" Bella spluttered. "Ha! Must have missed that one." "Oh yes, it probably happened while you were off on your island. The paparazzi shadowed him for weeks after that, hoping for an encore." She gurgled. "Ha! Well, okay then, no major scandals. You can be dysfunctional and keep it quiet, you know." The chicken was done to his satisfaction. He removed the joints, turned down the gas, and fed the vegetables into the warm pan. At one point he splashed some wine over them. At another he added a dribble of this, a pinch of that, and a lot of French tarragon. The room began to smell heavenly. He tasted. Not quite. "What do you think?" He offered her a teaspoon. She swirled the sauce round her taste buds. "Tastes wonderful to me." "Not enough bite. Hand me that lemon." She did. He chopped it in half and squeezed it over the vegetable goo, filtering the pips through the fingers of his other hand. "Taste now." She did, closing her eyes. "Yummy." "It will be." He slapped the chicken back into the pan and spooned the vegetables on top. Then he got the casserole dish out of the oven, tipped the entire contents of the pan into it, and shot it back. He adjusted the temperature and the timer. And then he washed up. Bella stared, astounded. "You must be the perfect man. If that was me, I'd be sitting down with a large glass of something, patting myself on the back and leaving the dishes for later." Richard laughed. "In a galley, you wash up as you go. No room to do anything else. But sitting down with a large glass is good too." When he'd returned the work surface to pristine condition, he took her hand, another glass, and the bottle of wine, and took them all to the other end of the room. It was chillier away from the cooker, and Bella shivered involuntarily. He switched on a serviceable electric fire which she hadn't noticed before, and then contrived a nest of cushions for her in the built-in couch. He topped up her glass and flung himself back in the battered old armchair, looking at her with such affectionate pleasure that Bella hardly recognized him. Nobody had ever looked at her like that, as if they had been given a prize. She felt warm and flattered and flustered and strangely humble at the same time. But she hadn't a clue what to do next, so she cuddled down into her cushions and did nothing. Eventually he gave a long sigh of satisfaction. "This is nice. You said it was your godfather's boat." He smiled lazily. "Strictly, you should say her about a boat. He lived here for years. This is still pretty much all his stuff. The campaign desk, the books, the furniture. We put in a new galley because the old stuff was dangerous and replaced the skylights with modern double-glazed ones that are easier to open, but otherwise, it's the same." "Isn't that a bit creepy?" He gave a shout of laughter. "That's my Bella. Tell the truth and shame the devil. Yes, it could be creepy in theory. In practice, it isn't because he wasn't that sort of man. He taught me to sail and how to do stuff. Actually, he was the one who gave me your father's books." He looked round. "They're all here somewhere." "It doesn't feel like a mausoleum," she admitted. "But even so, why keep it?" He was rueful. We'd all had fun here with him. And also, there was Ship's cat. "What?" "He had this massive tabby mouser called Ship's cat. Great character, but very territorial. So we agreed, all 5 of the godchildren, that we would share the boat until Ship's cat pegged out." "You kept a houseboat for a cat?" "Yes. Why?" He cocked an eyebrow. "But houseboats have to be lived in, don't they? I mean, kept warm and dry and the pipes working and stuff." "Good practical thinking," he said approvingly. "Absolutely right. Sometimes one of us lives here, sometimes we have a tenant. At least 3 books have been written here." "And the cat?" "Lived a full and happy life and died a couple of years ago, aged 20. Actually, Chloe was living here then, and she took it backwards and forwards to the vet's for several months. I was surprised, but she stuck to it." "Chloe. Ah. I saw the photograph in the papers of you with her. Lottie said she didn't think Chloe looked very sisterly." She let the remark hang. But he didn't get indignant. Instead, he frowned, looking troubled. "I know what she means. Chloe is a bit of a mess, frankly. Starts things and doesn't finish them. She can get a bit, let's say, fixated. She ran with a bad crowd for a while when she was younger. I'm certain there were drugs involved. But we don't say so because she is the niece of my mother's oldest lady-in-waiting, and it would be bad form." "But you don't mind sharing a boat with her?" "She behaves herself on board. One of my fellow godchildren is a tough lady soldier who'd scalp her if she didn't. Anyway, she genuinely loved our godfather. It's been okay so far, anyway, which is a relief, because we'd all be sad to sell the old girl. We've got used to her. I like it here. More than like, she thought, seeing him laze in the armchair with his long legs stretched out before him. You're basking. You love this place. It was gorgeous to see him looking so happy. Suddenly, she knew the answer to the question that had tormented her last night. Lottie was right. Bella pushed the cushions aside, slipped off the couch, and knelt beside him with her arms round him. I love you, she said. Ah, that's very sweet. Bella, Bella, Bella. That was very nice. Okay, so that was the end of chapter 10 of Tamara Prince. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, those of you that are still in the chat. I see it's gone very quiet and very sleepy. So Teresa popped in, was welcomed. Sleepiness started to kick in. Yeah, there was a few mistakes here and there. Don't you worry about that. But that was a nice chapter. That was a very nice chapter. Yeah, I get that too, Shannon. I think if you like a person, if they're a good person, especially someone very close to you, like someone that you're feeling strong feelings for, I think there's few things as beautiful and as attractive as a happy person. You know, especially if they've got good intentions. If they're happy because they're gloating over something and I don't know, you know, it's like some kind of callous, selfish happiness, then maybe not. But like when someone is just really glowing with that kind of like innocent happiness, like Richard is obviously giving off there, and with Bella's feelings blossoming and everything, like, yeah, I totally relate to that. I thought that was a very nice description. I'm gonna have to call it a day for today, Teresa. I know I said that I'd try and read 2 chapters, but we've had one, and I will definitely read chapter 11 on the next Foxy Book Club for sure. But it is 3:10 here, and I've been online for nearly 3 hours. So, but when I've finished, Teresa, go back into the stream and you can listen to Cinderella, and maybe you'll have some fun with my spontaneous ad-lib Yorkshire Cinderella as well. So, you know, we have had 2 readings and a little bonus bit of silliness as well. So she's still pretty when she glows. Yeah, she must have perfected that over the years, Logan. Oh, my back is I thought that was going to fall over then. It's done that before. My back is really tired. I was playing a bit of football for the first time in a long time yesterday, I think I've just stretched it a little bit, and also like I've been sat with some shocking posture for about 3 hours, so I think that's worsened it. Because earlier it was just the lower back, and now it's like middle of the spine as well. And my back's been so much better these days. Like since I started really getting into pull-ups and chin-ups and like more back exercises and stuff, it's helped my shoulder blades and things a lot. But yeah, I think I've just maybe pulled it a bit yesterday and sat badly this evening. Need the squeaky chair back, because like I'm sat here. It's really foolish, really. I'm sitting here for like 3 hours with no back support. Like I'm just holding myself like that, or like letting myself slump a little bit. I should do something better. But good night to Carla, who is heading off. Good night to Ada, or you might maybe just saying good night because you know that I'm wrapping things up. But sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable. But I will head off. It's been really, really, really nice. Thank you to you all as always for joining. It's been really, really lovely. And I thought those 4 streams, I know I'd put that it was going to be 5 Christmas streams, but because that last chapter of A Christmas Carol was short, I ended up just combining them into 2, and because I'd started the streams a little bit later in the month, I didn't get a chance to do that little extra one maybe with a couple of other Christmassy stories, but there's always next year. But those 4 streams were really lovely. It was really fun to do a few in a row. And then, we've had this one today. And I'll just try and keep them as regular as possible. Like I've been saying for a little while, and it's been working. I mean, we've had 5 streams in the last month. So that's not bad, I think. It's not too bad. Like averaging 1 a week, really. Because the first one was... can't remember exactly what date it was. Maybe it was like 17th or something like that of December. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, 5 in around a month, which is not too bad. So I'll try and keep up with approximately 1 a week. We'll see how it goes. But I'll try and have a good Lord of the Rings recording session. I know I'm going to be tired now because it's got so late. But try and get up at a reasonable time and get an hour or so into the microphone and see how it goes. That first chapter was a lot of fun. Yeah, I should, like, I've been meaning to get like a proper, either like a very comfortable office chair or some kind of, like gamer chair or something supportive. It's just like, it's trying to like find somewhere that like looks okay for the stream as well. Like, I know this background is only very simple, but it's cute with the little painting, and I think it'll be better. Like, we're making some progress with the apartment, but it's still quite messy. So I think I've been doing the recordings in the hallway, and I think like when we've got things a bit tidier, I don't know, I could maybe stream from there, but it's a bit close to the bedroom. It could be a bit disturbing. I don't know, as this is like where I am at the moment, it's like in the opposite end of the apartment, so I'm less worried about making a noise in the middle of the night and things like that. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, great minds think alike, you and Logan and Shannon there. But look, thank you so much for this evening, Fox fans and story lovers. It's been very, very nice. Yeah, do leave me a thumbs up. It's always appreciated. And And yeah, we'll try and have another live stream pretty soon. We can have some more To Marry a Prince, and I'll try and start the stream with another reading like we did today with Cinderella. We can, like I said, we can start another story. Maybe we could have Alice next time. I'll listen back to that last chapter with the Cheshire Cat and try and be consistent for when that character pops in again. So yeah, we could have some Alice, have some To Marry a Prince, see if I've got the energy for something else little, even if it's just a little preview of 1984 or something. That's very sweet, Shannon. I looked into the PO box thing, and it's very expensive. I did wonder that, but you might be aware, like, you have to rent it, so you pay per month or you can pay per year, and it is expensive. And I know that, of course, like, I get this support from you guys through Patreon and everything, but to be honest, you know, I do need that for living expenses and stuff like that. So I feel like a PO box would be a bit of a stretch at the moment. Like, if I'm feeling more comfortable at some time in the future, I'll definitely look into it again. But yeah, it was quite pricey. I guess it's not so surprising. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I thought it was a lovely idea for sure, and maybe one for the future for sure. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to fix at the moment, Caitlin. Like, I've got this like little space in this like long hallway area, but you know, I'm living in a city apartment, so even though this is one of the bigger places I've lived in, it's still only quite small. You know, compared to a house or something. You know, there's the bedroom, there's the kitchen, there's a nice spacious living room, and then like a corridor which has like a little alcove which I've turned into the recording space for like where I did Lord of the Rings, and like a little cute like fresh bathroom just at this end here. So like compared to some of the places I lived in Stockholm, like where I was doing my original Red Fox book clubs and all those like Harry Potter things and everything, that was in my tiny little attic apartment, and I mean that was 20, I think it was 23 square meters. So you know, it's just a box really, like with one little window, all in one room. You know, it's very small. It's like 21 or 23. And it had sloped ceilings as well. You know, so you really like felt how small it was. If it had had lots of windows and a tall ceiling, it might have felt a little bit more spacious. But this apartment is, like I said, it's one of the very 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 most sizable that I've had in Stockholm. It's is it 60? Yeah, maybe it's 60 something. And it's really nice having this big spacious living room, and the bedroom is like relatively spacious. But it would be almost nice, like for me, like with what I'm trying to do, working at home and everything, um, if they'd partitioned this living room into another like a tiny guest room or something, and just had like a slightly smaller living room, because it's almost like unnecessarily big. Like we don't have that much stuff, and there's only two of us. Um, and you know, like we're ground floor here, like close to quite a busy road, so like I don't know if you had some fancy conservatory or some balcony or something, I think you'd appreciate the living room more. But here, like I don't know, like the kitchen's a nice space to hang out in. Like yes, I feel like if they had like a tiny extra little guest room that I could turn into a study or something, like a little dedicated workspace, like you said, that would be really really nice. But it's okay. It's absolutely fine. And our old place was very tired, as this is very, very fresh, which is nice. It's like it's easy to keep clean and tidy and everything. So, cool. Yeah. Yeah, nice to have some more space, but that sounds lovely though. An old thread factory, that's cool. It reminds me of some places that you get back home actually in Sheffield, like converted factories and things. Oh, cool. Okay, peeps. I'll sign off. Nice to see you all. Get yourself stuck into The Lord of the Rings if you haven't started book 2 already. I'll get back on with Dracula soon, like I said. And for those of you that want to join me in the premiere for Chapter 2, of The Fellowship of the Ring, Book 2, I will see you on... Yeah, I'm really hoping Thursday night, but it could be Friday night. I'll do my absolute best, but I don't want to stress it either. Like I said, with it being a really, really, really big, complex chapter. And yeah, we'll see when we can next fit in a live stream. Maybe next Sunday. Maybe Sunday evenings or Sunday nights could work pretty well. I think it makes sense. Like, unless I've got something very particular happening, it makes sense. I think it could work. Yeah, you're very welcome, Logan. Thank you. And good night to you, Shannon. Good night, Teresa. I hope you enjoyed some Prince. Thank you for waiting so patiently. And like I said, next stream, whether it's next Sunday, I think it could work. I think so. Then we can have chapter 11 and see what else we can have as well. Yeah, see you hopefully Thursday, maybe Friday. I'll just, like I said, I'll do my best. But you know, I'm a perfectionist. I don't want to rush it a day early and I'm not happy with something. No, thanks very much, Stardust. I didn't know you were still here. That's really nice. Thanks ever so much. Good night, Olivia. Take care, everybody. You're very welcome, Olivia. Thanks so much, and thanks for all your support. That goes to all of you, whether you're supporting through your comments or whether through Patreon or whatever. You know how much I appreciate it. I really, 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 really do. And that's good to hear, Teresa. That's very important. Yeah, it was good fun. I'm gonna have to watch that back for myself actually and see what the hell I was talking about. It was good fun. Chuffing Yorkshire Cinderella. Gosh. Right. Good night, everybody. Take care. Stay foxy. Yeah? You stay foxy. I wonder what you're going to listen to next. I wonder if you're going to rewind the stream, whether you're going to get stuck into the new Lord of the Rings, whether you're going to watch some old favourite video. If you've got Google Drive access, you could... there's all sorts of stuff you could listen to. I wonder. Keep the comments coming. Keep trying to get the foxy message out there. You know, keep sharing my channel and my videos and everything. I flipping appreciate it, you know it. And read to you soon. Good night, everybody. Netflix time. Take care, everybody. Goodbye. Until next time.